Fatal mistakes of historical leaders. History is full of examples of leaders making decisions that led to their downfall or even the collapse of entire empires. Today, we will examine 4 of the most catastrophic mistakes made by historical figures, proving that even the most powerful rulers are not immune to fatal miscalculations. These errors resulted in enormous losses, change the course of history, and serve as warnings for future generations. Let's dive into the details of these fateful missteps. Napoleon's invasion of Russia, 1812. Napoleon Bonaparte, one of the greatest military strategists in history, made a catastrophic mistake by deciding to invade Russia in 1812. At the height of his power, he commanded an army of over 600,000 soldiers, an unstoppable force, or so it seemed. However, as his troops advanced into Russia, they faced an enemy far more formidable than any battlefield opponent: the Russian winter. The Russians, aware of Napoleon's military prowess, avoided open battles. Instead, they implemented a scorched earth strategy, burning their own villages and food supplies while retreating deeper into the country. As a result, Napoleon's troops were left without crucial resources. When they reached Moscow, they found the city abandoned and set ablaze by the Russians to prevent its occupation by the French. As temperatures dropped to -40 degrees Celsius, the French soldiers, unprepared for such harsh conditions, began dying en masse. Disease, starvation, and frostbite decimated their ranks. Additionally, during the retreat, they were constantly attacked by Russian forces. In the end, out of the 600,000 soldiers, only about 10% survived and made it back home. This catastrophic defeat marked the beginning of Napoleon's downfall. Hitler's fatal mistake at Stalingrad, 1942 to 1943. Adolf Hitler's obsession with conquering the Soviet Union led to one of his greatest defeats, the Battle of Stalingrad. Hitler was determined to seize the city not only for its strategic importance, but also as a symbolic victory over Joseph Stalin. He was convinced that taking Stalingrad would cripple Soviet resistance and demoralize the Red Army. However, he gravely underestimated the resilience of Soviet forces and the severity of the Russian winter. In September 1942, German forces launched a massive assault on Stalingrad, reducing the city to rubble. However, the Soviets refused to surrender and fought back ferociously. By the winter of 1942, German forces found themselves encircled by the Red Army in Operation Uranus. With supply lines cut off and temperatures dropping below -30 degrees Celsius, German soldiers suffered from hunger, frostbite, and relentless Soviet bombardment. Despite desperate pleas from his generals to allow a retreat, Hitler ordered his troops to hold their positions. By February 1943, the German Sixth Army was completely annihilated, with over 90,000 soldiers surrendering. This defeat marked a turning point in World War II, from which Germany never recovered. The fall of the Aztec Empire, 1521, Montezuma II, ruler of the mighty Aztec Empire, made a series of critical mistakes that led to its downfall at the hands of Spanish conquistador Hernán Cortés. When Cortés arrived in 1519, Montezuma believed he was the god Quetzalcoatl and allowed the Spanish to enter Tenochtitlan without resistance. Instead of immediately expelling them, he attempted to negotiate, unaware that the Spanish had brought a far deadlier weapon, disease. The Spanish took Montezuma hostage, using him as a puppet ruler while they prepared to take full control of the city. Eventually, tensions boiled over, and an uprising ensued, during which Montezuma was killed, either by the Spanish or his own people. In the chaos, the Spanish temporarily retreated, but soon returned with reinforcements. However, the deadliest enemy the Aztecs faced was not the Spanish sword, but a smallpox epidemic, which wiped out much of the population. Weakened and demoralized, the Aztecs were ultimately defeated in 1521 after a brutal siege of Tenochtitlan. Montezuma's indecisiveness allowed the Spanish to exploit internal conflicts within the empire and destroy what was once a powerful civilization. The Battle of Adrianople, Rome's Titanic mistake, 378 AD, Emperor Valens of the Eastern Roman Empire made a fatal mistake by underestimating the readiness of the Visigoths for rebellion. These Germanic tribes had sought asylum from the Huns, but upon entering Roman territory, were subjected to extortion and abuse by corrupt Roman officials. This mistreatment led to an armed revolt against Rome. Despite warnings, Valens refused to wait for reinforcements from the Western Roman Empire and decided to attack the Visigoths with an unprepared army. On August 9th, 378 AD, near Adrianople, he engaged in battle, confident of an easy victory. However, his exhausted troops were unready for the swift and devastating attack of the Gothic cavalry. The Roman legions were completely annihilated, and Valens himself was killed in battle. His body never recovered. This crushing defeat severely weakened Rome's military power and opened the empire's borders to further barbarian invasions, accelerating the fall of the Western Roman Empire. These fatal mistakes remind us that even the most powerful leaders can make catastrophic miscalculations. Overconfidence, underestimation of enemies, and strategic errors led to devastating consequences. The lessons from these events remain relevant today, highlighting the importance of foresight, adaptability, and sound decision-making. Let me know in the comments which historical mistake you found most shocking.